Here's something strange you may have noticed before. In almost every image of prayer, the hands are clasped in the same familiar way, the right hand on top, leading. Priests also bless with the right hand. And then there's a word that feels oddly heavy. Sinister, in Latin, it simply meant left. But what if I told you that normal was never accidental? If you're listening to this at night, in a moment when your mind suddenly grows quiet, or the opposite, when you feel restless for reasons you can't name, then do one small thing right now. Place your left hand on your chest. Don't fold it. Don't hide it. Don't clasp it with the right hand. Just lay your palm flat over the center of your chest, where you can feel your heartbeat. And listen. Does it feel warmer? Do you feel a faint vibration, a subtle pulse moving through your palm? Some people will say it's imagination. But if you've ever had that sensation of touching something deeper than the body, you already know it doesn't feel random. In certain ancient Gnostic traditions, there's an idea the official religious system tried to blur out: direct access. No ritual gatekeepers, no intermediaries, no permission required. And according to fragments and whispered retellings connected to Pistis Sophia, a mystical dialogue text passed through generations, there is a night when Jesus is said to have told his inner circle something that was never allowed to. Survive the age of religious power. The left hand carries a different frequency. Not evil, the way you were warned, but free. Because once a human being can connect directly to the source, they stop depending. And history has always contained systems that do not want you independent. If something in that sentence hits a place deep inside you, whisper in your mind, "Tonight, I'm listening all the way through." Because from here on, this gets uncomfortable. And it also gets clear. Most people assume religion was corrupted over time. But in the Gnostic lens, there's a more unsettling hypothesis. Sometimes the system you inherited wasn't designed to connect you. It was designed to generate a state, separation. You down here, God up there. You ask, you wait, you fear doing it wrong, you fear punishment, you fear not being saved. And every time you enter that state, you broadcast a very specific signal, the signal of someone who doesn't know who they are. In Gnostic mythology, the material world is not the whole story. It's a layer, an architecture, a structure. The builder of that structure is often called the demiurge, a lower creator who believes itself supreme while actually cut off from the true source. It didn't create your consciousness. It tried to contain consciousness inside matter. And to run that containment system, it uses administrators, entities that live off frequency, the archons. Don't imagine them as demons from horror movies. In many descriptions, archons behave more like parasites of emotion. They don't generate energy. They stimulate you to generate the kind of energy they can feed on. Fear, panic, self-doubt, addiction, despair. Any state that pulls you out of center becomes a meal. Think back. Why is it that the moment you're about to change your life, a voice appears? Don't, you can't. You'll look ridiculous. What if you fail? Do it tomorrow. It sounds like you, but it always shows up at the exact kill point. In the Gnostic story, that's the mechanism. Implanted thought. Not chains and cages, just a suggestion so convincing you walk back into your own prison willingly. And here's what makes this dangerous. Archons have a weakness. They can only control you when you accept an identity the system hands you. Small, lacking, sinful, needing to beg, needing permission. But the moment you remember your true identity, your signal changes band. They can't lock on to it, and that's where the left hand appears as a key. Why did so many cultures label the left hand as bad? Why were left-handed children punished for centuries? You can hear social explanations, of course, but in the Gnostic frame there's another layer: symbolic suppression. The right hand is associated with order, linear thinking, rules, ritual. The left hand is linked to intuition, wholeness, unity, perception, not because the left hand is demonic, but because the left hand doesn't need permission to feel. And if a human being has a switch on their own body that returns them to source, every mediator gate becomes unnecessary. Do you understand how terrifying that is to a power structure? There's a point in history many scholars reference when talking about how beliefs became official: councils, doctrines, text selection. In the gray zone of legend, it's said that writings emphasizing direct access were pushed out of the mainstream. Teachings centered on self-recognition were labeled dangerous. You don't have to believe every detail, but the feeling of being trained into dependence, many people have felt that. And if you've felt it, you understand why self-activation methods are often stamped with labels: forbidden, heretical, wrong, dangerous. The easiest way to control a door is to convince people it opens into hell. Now return to your left hand on your chest. Take a slow inhale. Hold for a beat. Exhale longer. You just did something small, but maybe you noticed. One breath alone can shift your state. Your body is an instrument, and that instrument has been played by other hands for a very long time. In Gnostic language, the chosen ones aren't chosen because they're better. They're chosen because something in them burns. A divine spark, a fragment of the monad. The monad is source, not a throne god judging you, but pure consciousness, the foundation of existence. If you've ever felt you don't fully belong here, if life has felt like a repeating stage play, if reality sometimes feels artificial, maybe that's not your flaw. Maybe it's the sign of something in you that refuses to sleep. In Gnostic terms, a person whose spark is strong is called pneumatic. And if you're still listening, there's a possibility you're not just curious, you're remembering. Before I give you the technique, I need to be clear. What you're about to hear is a mystical narrative framework, a symbolic Gnostic-style story designed to create an experience. You don't need blind belief. You only need to watch your own response. Because the real power isn't in the words. It's in the moment you realize you can change your state by yourself. And when you can change your state, the harvesting system loses part of its food source. Ready? Keep your left hand on your chest and listen carefully. In the whispered retelling, Jesus taught a simple sequence with 3 parts: position, breath, declaration. 3 parts, 7 words. Too simple, right? And that's exactly why it was buried. Because the simpler it is, the less you need anyone to sell you a path. But simple doesn't mean easy. Simple means you can't hide behind complexity anymore. You can't say, "I'm not educated enough." You can't say, "I don't have time." You can't say, "I need someone to authorize me." You're left with one question: do I dare to do it now? Part 1. Position. Left hand flat on the heart center. Fingers angled gently toward the right shoulder. Right hand relaxed at your side. Symbolically, this forms a closed circuit. Left hand, inward sensing, touching heart, center field. Instead of reaching outward, you turn inward. A person who begs looks upward. A person who remembers settles downward. You don't call the source. You remember the source. Part 2. Breath. 3 breaths, but not rushed. Inhale slowly enough to feel your chest open. Hold for a beat as if stamping the moment. Exhale longer as if pushing noise out of the rib cage. 3 rounds like that. And on every exhale, accept one thing. Something in me is softening. Part 3. Declaration. This is where the entire system flips. You don't ask. You state the truth in the present tense. The 7 English words passed down in simple form are, I am one with the source. Not, I want to be. Not, please make me. Not someday, I hope. But, I am. Do you feel the difference? A request admits lack. A declaration recognizes truth. If you say it empty, it's only sound. But if you speak it from the place where you can feel yourself living inside a wider frequency, it may feel like switching channels. And this is where invisibility happens in the story. Not vanishing from the world, but vanishing from the mechanism that pulls you down. Now, I'll guide you through the full sequence once like an audio ritual. Sit or stand, spine straight. Don't lie down, you'll drift. Left hand on your chest. Close your eyes. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale just a little longer. Now, speak it quietly is fine, but let it vibrate in your chest so the left hand can feel it. I am one with the source. Say it once, then silence. Don't chase an effect. Don't wait for a flash of light. Just stay still and observe. You may feel warmth, a loosening in the throat, less mental noise, a space between thoughts. And if you feel nothing, that's okay, because you just did something the system dislikes. You stopped, and you chose your frequency. Now I'll tell you what very few people say openly. Right after you try this, there may be backlash. Not because you failed, but because when someone steps out of an old pattern, the old pattern pulls back. You'll hear a voice. This is stupid. Nothing happened. Don't fool yourself. Just sleep. Do it later. And it will sound like you. In the Gnostic narrative, that's the sign archons can't feed the same way. So they use the last strategy. Make you return voluntarily. Don't argue. Don't fight. Just recognize. Ah, this is the pull. Then put your left hand on your chest again and say it once more. I am one with the source. You just did what most people can't. You saw the mechanism instead of being dragged by it. What happens if you do this for several nights in a row? In many practice traditions, whether you believe them or not, people describe a turning point. At first, it's thin, then it thickens. Then one night, fear doesn't stick like it used to. News doesn't hook you as hard. Toxic conversations drain you instantly. Your body reacts faster to what's false. You start to realize what you used to call my personality is, in part, programming. And once you see programming, you begin to uninstall it. That's awakening. Not because you fly into the sky, but because you're no longer easy to pull by a leash. But beware a subtle trap. You can turn this into a new dependency ritual. If I forget tonight, I'll be cursed. If I do it wrong, I'll be punished. If I don't do this, I can't connect. In the Gnostic spirit, this isn't a spell. It's a mirror. It reminds you, connection isn't something you beg for. Connection is something you remember. And once you remember, you can remember again anytime. No props, no stage, one hand, one breath, one declaration. Now let me give you a scene, so you understand why this story frightens systems. Imagine an ancient cathedral, high ceiling, stone columns, candlelight. A crowd kneels. They beg. One person stands in the middle. No protest, no shouting. They simply place their left hand on their chest, close their eyes. 3 breaths. Then whisper, I am one with the source. No one hears clearly, but suddenly that person is strangely calm. No fear, no begging, no dependence on anyone's approval. And that is the most dangerous thing to any system. A human being who is no longer afraid, because when you're not afraid, you can't be bought, threatened, or steered so easily. You can respect faith, you can honor tradition, but you're no longer chained by lack. That's the real secret. Not that the left hand has magic, but that the left hand brings you into a state the system's magic can't touch. If you want to make this audio more powerful, insert a pause here. Pause. Place your left hand on your chest again and ask, honestly, if I can connect directly, then where have I been trained to look all this time? Pause. That question is a door. Don't answer with logic, just feel. Now I'll leave you with an open thread to carry after the audio ends. In many Gnostic retellings, the left hand is only step 1. Step 2 is identity, the labels you've believed your whole life. Step 3 is the inner voices, how to tell intuition from implanted thought. And step 4 is where the story becomes daring. A fast channel switch method, where you realize that sometimes it feels like something invisible is watching you, not to scare you, but so you become calm enough that it has nothing to hold. I won't reveal everything here, because if you've made it this far and your chest feels warm or you feel a strange certainty, then you're ready for what comes next. And what comes next is the real question. If the left hand is the key, where is the door inside you? Before we end, do one last thing very short. Left hand on your chest. One breath in, one long breath out. And in your mind or aloud, say once more, I am one with the source. Then open your eyes. Look around, not to hunt for miracles, but to notice you're still here, yet maybe something shifted. That's enough for tonight. If you want, repeat this for 7 nights, no pressure, no fear, like an experiment. Each night, notice where you're less easily pulled. And if you forget one night, you didn't fail. You simply remember again tomorrow. Because the source doesn't punish. Only the system fears your memory. And here is the hook for the next episode. Next time, I'll explain the 3 layers of voices inside your mind. How to tell which voice is truly yours, which is fear, reflex, and which sounds like it appears precisely when you're about to break free. I'll give you a fast 30-second test to verify it for yourself. And if you pass that test, you'll finally understand why people wake up and then fall back asleep, not because they're weak, but because they never learned how the pullback mechanism works. But tonight, you have the key. Left hand, heartbeat, and a declaration that doesn't ask anyone for permission.